Texas A&M host Alabama. Now, it's interesting. Alabama, the 11th ranked team in the country. Texas A&M, despite an impressive win against Arkansas, despite a dominating win over Auburn 2 weeks ago, and a 4-1 record, they are not ranked heading into this matchup. Trey, potentially favoring the Aggies a little bit. There was a big campaign to not rank the Aggies in the preseason poll. They traditionally play a little bit better when they're slept on in the beginning parts of the season. From an X's and O's standpoint, I think you have to start with the A&M pass rush and looking in the trenches. Texas A&M has seen that 2022 draft class recruiting class blossom into one of the best pass rushes in the country. Meanwhile, Alabama has struggled to stop a nosebleed up front. What are you looking for in the battle of the trenches between the Aggies and the Tide?
Alabama has one of the worst sack rates allowed in the entire country, and A&M is statistically the best team in the country when it comes to sack rate on percentage of dropbacks where they get a sack. Now, a lot of that is playing Arkansas and Auburn that have offensive line issues of their own, but I think when you have, 17 sacks over the last 2 weeks or something ridiculous like that, I think that those numbers will hold up, no matter who you're playing. I think it's been fascinating to see how the fan base has kind of shifted on DJ Durkin over the last few weeks, because we are not fans of him on this podcast. I am still tentatively out on DJ Durkin, but it seems like he's finally willing to use the strength of this defense and not put his secondary on an island when they are not the talented unit that they've been in the past this year. So I'm very encouraged by that. Statistically, it's been fascinating to watch all the advanced stats breakdown come out this week, hasn't it? Like, I know Parker Gillum, who runs Stats of War, he said he thinks this is the first time that he's ever run a projection that has Alabama losing outright on an advanced stats projection. So that's fascinating to see. It is a very, very interesting matchup. And guys, I got to say, we like to be analytical on this podcast. We like to look at the numbers. We like to look beyond the box score. We like to look at the Jimmies and Joes and the X's and O's. But at the heart of this, we are fans. And my heart as a fan has been broken so many times by this Texas A&M football team when there's just an ounce of expectation. And because of that, I'm picking with nothing else but battered Aggie syndrome when I say that Alabama, I think, is going to win this game. I think Alabama covers the -2.5, and I think they unfortunately win this game. Maybe a late field goal. Maybe they return the favor from Seth Small's dramatic game winner a couple years ago. Call me an Eeyore, call me a battered Aggie, all you want. It's 100% true. I think Alabama is going to win this game.
Listen, that's totally fair. And first of all, let me just extend a welcoming hand of friendship, because this is traditionally the block that I die on. How many times? Well, last year, how many times was I right? Before we started this podcast, how many years did I take the other team to cover? And A&M either wins comfortably or wins late, but we had to sweat for a little bit, right? So I totally understand that. The fact that everybody and their mother seems to be on A&M this week, maybe the most greatly concerning item to me, because we've got the line on this graphic as 2.5. Last I checked, right before we hit record, it was actually bet down to 1.5 in some places. So the public very heavy on A&M, and look, there's a good reason to be. A&M is at home. They have a track record of at least playing the Crimson Tide close at home, if not upsetting Nick Saban outright when they play in College Station. Texas A&M is the better team statistically on paper. Now, on the field, that's why we play these games. I think it's going to be a very, very close margin. But when you just look at what A&M can do offensively, when you look at what their pass rush can do, the way to beat this Aggie team is the Miami model. You throw it deep. You throw the ball 45 plus times. Alabama can't do that. Even if Jalen Milroe's not the quarterback, Tyler Buckner, Ty Simpson, they're not able to do that. And so for me, unless Alabama just runs it down A&M's throat, which, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, Arkansas tried to do that. Auburn tried to do that. Didn't work in either of those cases. Heck, even Miami, outside of one big chunk play, really didn't get anything going against this Texas A&M defensive front. Garrett, bring you in here. Jimmy's and Joe's wise, I feel like the edge and the tone these last couple weeks has been set by the edge rush specifically. Walter Nolan has 5 sacks as a defensive tackle. Shamar Turner, Edrin Cooper coming off the edge have been elite for the Aggies. Talk about what you expect to see from this A&M defense and maybe what the counter is for Alabama, because they also have a linebacker in Torian York who has been exercising that spy ability to great effect this year.
Yeah, so, when I look at this in terms of just what's going to be happening on the defensive side of the ball for the Aggies, I think that this is a really favorable matchup for them because they've played this same style of team, I think, 3 weeks in a row. You've got a quarterback who's a run first quarterback who struggles with his passing. You've got a quarterback who, he's maybe got a little bit of experience, right? Peyton Thorne had some experience. KJ Jefferson got some experience. And Milroe's been in the program, not starting, but he's been in the program. And then you've got strong running game, and this is just what they want to do. They want to run the football. They want to establish things, and A&M hasn't let that happen so far the last couple of weeks. Now, Alabama's got better athletes than those guys do, right? Alabama's got better players. I can also counter and say that Rocket Sanders is probably a better running back than anybody in Alabama's roster. He didn't have a very good game against A&M, though he may have been a little hobbled. I know that there were still some lagging injury concerns with him, but I would still argue he's probably a better running back than anybody Bama's got on the roster right now. And so when you look at this game, I don't think that Bama's strength plays well to A&M's strength. However, Bama's weakness, which is passing the football, plays to A&M's weakness on defense, which is their coverage. So it's kind of a weird strength versus strength, weakness versus weakness matchup on that side of the ball where Bama wants to, on a normal week, run the football, use the quarterback to run the football, and A&M doesn't let people do that. But if Jalen Milroe can get a little bit of time, maybe get the screen game going to get, take advantage of some of the aggression on the A&M defense, or just find ways to air it out, throw that good deep ball, A&M could be in trouble. Flipping that around, though, on the A&M offense versus the Bama defense is really, really solid, especially in coverage. So I think this game comes down to Max Johnson, the quarterback for A&M, not forcing the ball down the field. He's got to make smart plays. He's got to take what the defense is giving them, right? Check it down to the running back when you need to, hit your little sit down routes and not try to force it when it's not there, right? Caleb Downs, great in coverage, pick you off if he needs to. And I just think that this is a thing where Max Johnson, having the experience that he has, having played in this league for as long as he's played, and finally getting his chance to kind of sit there, work with the ones, be in the spotlight. I think that's your X factor right there, is the Max Johnson experience at home with a run game that's starting to figure it out. Le'Veon Moss figuring things out. I think that this is going to work really well for A&M. I don't think it's going to be an explosive game on offense for A&M, but I think they'll be able to move the football. I think they'll be able to cash in some points. And I am going to pick A&M to win this game. I'm going to pick them plus the 2.5 and to win. I do think that they do enough on offense and just make Bama make enough mistakes, right? End enough drives with the sack, get a tackle for loss at an opportune time to put them behind the chains, and just don't let up on that side of the football. I think if they can do that, things are going to work out great. I don't think it'll be comfortable. I don't think at any point in time either of these teams is feeling great about the outcome of this game. But I think by the end of the day, A&M wins this game by a field goal or so.
I do think this is going to be a very tight game. You talk about a game that the under probably hits on. I think there's a really good chance that this one finds its way, right? Now, that being said, Alabama put up 40 on Mississippi State last week. So it's not like Alabama's offense can't score, but
Hey, that's a
to those
juggernaut
that are
defense at Mississippi State.
wow, that's true. And to those that may be going, hey, now you're talking a lot about A&M. Alabama is the team that's favored to win this game after all, right? They've got the better head coach. As a whole, they've got better athletes. Jalen Milroe is going to have to pick his spots, right? He almost didn't beat A&M at home last year. Kind of scraped it together in a very, very close win against a bad Texas A&M team, right? I think for Jalen Milroe, he's going to have to find ways to get the ball outside, and he's going to have to take some shots. We've seen his arm. We know that his arm can get the ball down the field when given time. The problem is his offensive line just hasn't given him that time to throw it. Conversely, we saw a lot of the screen game, a lot of short stuff for A&M. That's Will Rogers' theme music. That did not work last week for Mississippi State. Bobby Petrino is going to likewise have to throw the football down the field in addition to establishing that running game if Texas A&M is going to win. Caleb Downs, by the way, true freshman safety for Bama, leads the team in tackles. Kool-Aid McKinstry, obviously an elite corner, maybe the top corner in the land. Rome in the secondary for Alabama. So even though I think this is the best case that A&M has to not only beat Alabama at home, but also maybe do it comfortably, I don't know that you can just assume, hey, one team has actually looked a little bit better than Alabama, so this is just another spot where Nick Saban's legacy takes a ding, something like that. Alabama's season ends. I expect this to be a very, very close game.
And I will say, looking back to last year, A&M had a great defensive game plan last year to pressure Jalen Milroe, and they forced a few turnovers, and it came down to a schematic issue on a goal line attempt at the end zone, did it not? And what did A&M fix this offseason? Allegedly, we think so far they fixed that schematic issue.
Not allegedly. They're much better on offense than they were.
They absolutely are. And it looks more efficient. And the stats back that up. The advanced metrics back that up. So if you're looking for a positive like me, that's the positive that you can take. I'm still going to take Alabama to somehow find a way to win this game, but it did come down to a schematic issue on the offensive side of the ball, and A&M has certainly looked much, much better in that aspect this year.
Over under, by the way, 46.5. So if you would like to throw some harder nuggies on the under there, certainly would not blame you. I think this has a very low scoring. I mean, I don't know that I would be shocked if this is a 21-17 kind of win either way.
Gracious him. How about that?